I'm just waiting for them to join. Hi.
Hello, hello.
How are you?
We're great. We're thrilled to join you.
There's one of you. Where's the other?
The other is coming right now, and there's a Cecil here.
Hi, Cecil.
Cecil.
Hi to both of you.
Hello.
Hi.
Can you see us okay?
I can see you great. I can hear you great.
Perfect.
Is it okay over here? Can you
Yeah,
hear me?
all good.
Okay, good.
You look terrific.
Well, thanks. I put my camo on for you guys.
Okay.
Well, we're still like a minute early, so I might just give it another minute. I've seen a whole bunch of people joining in.
Yes. Hi, gang. Welcome. Yay.
Hi.
Yeah, and make sure when you join, let us know where you're joining from. I think that's pretty fun to see how far these things go and what the reach is.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, I love the pattern behind you.
Isn't that wallpaper great? Drew Barrymore likes it.
I know. That was an awesome post. That was great this week.
I love it. I think that was her house.
Well, it had to be her house or her office because they can't go anywhere.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's about all we're doing, right?
Right.
Someone from Columbia has joined us, from Janella 3 from Virginia. We have New Hampshire in the house.
All right.
Awesome.
Yeah. Malvern, Pennsylvania, which we love. Malvern's a great town.
Malvern's a great town. I actually grew up.
That's what I thought you were.
Malvern.
I thought you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Lake Norman, North Carolina. We love Lake Norman. East Moriches, New York. We have a little Long Island in the house. Good. Chile. Chile's joining us.
Wow. Ooh, that's fun.
Burlington, Ontario. Met us at the Decorating Center. That was a fun day. We had a great time in Toronto. Great city up in Canada. We love that. New York has joined.
Where was the last place you visited before?
Before
I
all
think.
of this?
Was there before? Yes, Richmond.
Yes.
just days before it all kind of went crumbling.
Yes.
Well, remember, I moved into my house
Then
the world crashed, and it was like, what's going on? So I haven't left since I moved in. But
DeAnna has this house that looks like a resort. It has a swimming pool and maybe 2 ponds. There's like a big pond and a smaller little pond.
And I have fish that you can apparently order fish on Amazon, and they'll deliver them to your door.
From Amazon. Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So I want to kick it off with everybody and just kind of let you know how I found the Madcap guys. My adventure began when I met them. So like many, many years ago, I found myself in the wall covering world, and friends of mine in the design community called me up and said, have you checked out the amazing design duo Madcap Cottage? And I did. And I think I fell in love right away, and we've been friends ever since. And so
the feeling is mutual.
So I'm just so excited to talk to you guys about what I've always found so inspirational about you, like the fact that you tell a story in everything that you do, and you teach others how to do that. And I think that's what's so special about the two of you. So for those that don't know, and I don't think there's many that don't, but you have Jason Oliver Nixon and John Leckie, and you're at home, you're in the office. Where are you right now?
We are in what we call the Madcap HQ. It's our headquarters in Thomasville, North Carolina.
Okay.
And this is John's office, and it's wrapped in our beautiful York wall coverings wallpaper. This is our Into the Garden pattern.
Yes. Into
the Garden. And that was the pattern, for anyone that missed it, that we caught a post between this. We were texting back and forth, I think just earlier in the week, of a post that Drew Barrymore had of that pattern behind her. And we weren't sure if it was her house or where it was, but nonetheless, we were excited about it.
And it was under ceiling too. It wrapped the whole room.
Oh, that's so great.
Yeah. So, and if you hear snoring, that's Cecil. We have 4-pound rescue dogs, and Cecil is sitting right here and snoring away.
Yeah. So they all moved. How long have you been in High Point?
6 years.
6 years from New York.
6 years.
Yeah.
I remember the postcard that you did when you first moved down, with the car and the luggage and the dogs.
Here we go. The big adventure.
Yeah, I'm in
From Brooklyn to High Point.
I hung on to that forever. I thought it was so well done. But what is going on in High Point? That's a little funny right now because we're all used to coming down to visit you twice a year.
Yeah. Right now it's pretty quiet.
Yeah, quiet. I think that the temperature is that people are optimistic.
Good.
And I think that a lot of people are kind of maybe rethinking how they're operating, obviously, and are probably stepping up their marketing and doing great things like Insta Lives and Zooms and those kind of things. But I think people are excited for the fall. I think that there seems to be a real sense of it seems like Atlanta and Las Vegas are happening, two of the other big trade shows, and I think we're going to come back in October in a really big way here at High Point Market.
Well, we're definitely not seeing we're not seeing a downtick in wall coverings. People are in their homes and they're anxious to do something to their boring walls. I know sorry, pause for a second, but yeah, we're seeing wall coverings as something that people are taking on the challenge, ordering the product, getting it in. They can sample it. They can do it themselves. So we're seeing a nice increase in wall coverings right now. I'm sure fabric, some other things might not be as easy to do for themselves, or do you think that we're not seeing that really in other categories?
No, I think that to your point, DeAnna, I think that people want to make their everyday, exceptional. And being stuck at home, I think that we're saying, hey, maybe we don't want homes that are just white or beige and clinical. I mean, if you look at Instagram for so long, it's been kind of farmhouse and white and beige and black trim. And I think that people want wallpaper. We're really finding we've had 3 new design clients since all of this hit.
And we've been sending out a lot of
fabric
and wallpaper samples. So.
Yeah. So I think that all of our categories have been doing really, really well because I think we've been sequestered. And I think people are looking around and saying, hey, let's tackle all these, let's clean out our yard, let's wallpaper, let's organize our closets. And I think I think we're going to really see a rebound of home design once we reopen officially.
Yeah, definitely. Well, one thing I wanted to ask you guys while I had your attention was it last week that you did the Instagram Live with Tom Felicia?
We did. It was so much fun. He had some zingers in there.
Yeah. Is that recorded anywhere for anyone?
It is. Yes. Yes.
Well, maybe if you have it you have to let them know where to find it. But for anyone that missed it, they kind of got into the background of Jason and John and their career paths and how it kind of brought them to this storytelling and design. And I found it so interesting. As much as we all talk, we're always talking about design. And I'm not always talking about where you came from. But I thought maybe you could share a little bit with everyone today.
Yeah, I think that point of storytelling, I think that we came into our careers always wanting to engage audiences to build. I hate the word community. Weenie sparking over here. Weenie. But that idea of helping people and making things better and making things pretty. I had started in magazines. I had started at Condé Nast Traveler, and then I was a senior editor at Random House. And so telling story through traditional print media or book publishing. Then I went to television. I was a producer at helped launch True Hollywood Stories, and I was executive producer at the Food Network early on. And then I went back to publishing. I was the lifestyle director at Delta Airlines magazine, and then relaunched Four Seasons Hotels magazine. John started off at?
I started off in publishing at Ladies Home Journal and moved from there to American Homestyle. I kind of bounced around and ended up as the home editor at Parents magazine.
And you knew where John sat because when you went to the offices, it was all very pristine, except for this one cubicle that was like Pigpen that had sofas sticking out and chairs and fabric. And
look how clean my offices are.
But I think that idea that we really trained ourselves on the job, DeAnna, and that idea, like you grew up in, with furniture retail and some of those kind of great things. That idea that we styled, we produced, we wrote, we edited, we styled photo shoots. And so we really had to create packages. And it was that idea of learning on the job.
Well, that's the thing. I think, my job was more photo styling and designing spaces than it ever was straight editorial. So, and I did go to design school ultimately in graphic design. So I think it's always been a natural fit. I just never thought of going into interior design. I always thought maybe architecture. And the math part of that kind of did me in. So
yeah, I started off as a biology major, and then I hit Colby in Maine, and then I hit chemistry and realized, you know what? kind of my Romeo and Michelle moment. I'm not so good at this.
Yeah.
You know, but I think that idea that we are always very nimble and we always keep our hands in multiple pies. And you know, our business is probably a third interiors, a third product, and then a third other. And other could be activations, other could be brand ambassadorships. So I think we're always kind of looking at new ways to tell our stories, to engage audiences through wallpaper, through fabric, and everything that we do is hand painted by John. So the pattern behind us into the garden
Let me just grab
is based on John's sketches. And we were traveling around England last year, and we captured all these amazing follies in these gardens. We're passionate gardeners, and John painted and sketched this, and this became this great wallpaper. So nothing we do is mechanical. Nothing feels. It all has a step. Not only are we telling a story, but there's also a story behind all of our product. And I love the idea that seeing John sketching this fabric in Iowa or in England or China or wherever we are, and then bringing that product to life. And everything we do is very accessible. It's very affordable. You know, we don't live in an ivory tower. We have dogs. Everything has to be kind of dog friendly. But here's John's sketchbook.
So
he was creating the York wallpaper.
And so I just cleaned my office, so now I can't find anything.
Yeah, right. That's what happened.
But these are the original. So the wallpaper has sort of garden pavilion fantasy type buildings in it.
Oh,
and
awesome.
These are the original drawings for the little follies that ended up in the wallpaper pattern. So.
Oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, and then we had just some other like.
Because our logo is an elephant. We love elephants.
So these were all the original design elements that ended up in what we're calling Into the Garden.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And I know when we were creating the wall covering line with you, it is so important that a lot of people will come and want to start a wall covering line, but they have ideas,
Right.
but they don't necessarily have designs. So for you all, we were able to run pretty quickly and get that product launched because you had everything so already designed, and you had a lot of fabrics, right? That we derived from as well.
Yeah, and I think that's what's also really cool about this wallpaper collection is that it does match back to the fabrics. And I think that finding wall coverings and fabrics that really work well together is not always easy. So this is kind of a win-win.
Well, that kind of brings me to my next question. You are the masters of mixing unexpected things together, and it ends up working really well. But I don't think it's as easy for all of us as it is as natural it is for you all. So do you have ideas on like when you're mixing patterns, maybe if it's scale we should look at, or?
Well, first off, you should buy our latest book, Prince Charming, Create Absolutely Beautiful Rooms with prints and pattern. That's really a primer on how to bring it together. But no, I think that, you know, when we design our collections, DeAnna, we always try and, you know, if we bring green, we bring multiple greens together into all of our wallpapers or fabrics so that people really understand that they can, it's never about matching, it's about mixing and saying, I can pull blues, I can pull greens. But in the room that we're sitting in, for example, we have the great green and white wallpaper behind us.
I'm just gonna.
And then we have a vintage sign from Queen Elizabeth's coronation. But then we have, you know, great floral wallpaper with a lattice cornice. And then John scrolled to this, turned to this lamp light fixture right here. And then we have a light fixture, but they all have green in them. So green, and then you can have those pops of pink,
then we have
pops of yellow. We have a yellow rug, from our licensed collection with Momeni. So I think we try and give the consumer, we try and give designers tools to really. John's back, go no the other way. Yeah.
Oh, we're getting a whole view of the room.
Whole view of the room. It's pretty tidy.
So here, I'll just pull back a little bit.
Here's John's office.
Like I said, I just cleaned. So
Dog bed under the desk.
Oh my gosh. Like seriously, everyone, this is the experience that you get with Madcap. It's just it's awesome. It's like so many items that work so well together, but it is a little bit of magic that you put into a space because you do it in a way that we're thankful. The community is thankful you've created a book, because I can tell you without the book, we would not be able to do what you do.
But I think it's about layering. I think it's the idea that nothing in a home should never feel like it's brand new. It should feel like you've picked up things over the years. And as you're accessorizing, think about things that maybe drawings that your children have done, photographs of things you've taken, items that you've picked up along the journey that have some meaning and feel special before you just go to a big box store and buy lots of accessories. Really think about those things that you have collected around your home and make them special. You've just bought a great new home with a beautiful, beautiful views. And we were talking the other day about how you can really celebrate those views. So maybe your artwork in your home is the view and less traditional artwork, but to have these stunning vistas.
Right.
And I think that idea of just kind of thinking a little bit differently, and good design doesn't need to be expensive.
Yeah,
it just needs to be expressive.
And what you just saw in the office, I think the window treatments are probably the most expensive thing in my office because everything else is vintage. All of the furniture is vintage. The desk is actually a dining room table. So I think you can really mix and have fun, and I think it's all about how you layer. And when it comes to layering pattern, you know, the wallpaper is it's a green sort of toile type pattern, so it feels from a distance very layered. But then adding a fabric drapery panel that is a much larger scale floral on top of that is what kind of starts tying the two together. And it's how you layer those different elements and bring them around the room.
And I'm interrupting for 1 second. McDougall Interiors from Estero, Florida has just joined us. We used to have a showroom at Miramar, and then we go to the outlet center across the way and buy things. And Leland's Wallpaper from Texas has just joined.
Oh, Leland sells a lot of your wallpaper.
Oh, good. Oh, good. Guys, we love Texas. So have us come out sometime. We love coming out there. So anyway, that was our public PSA.
Oh, good. Well, I one thing that I wanted to say was that a few days ago I read Business of Home like often. I think we're all reading that like as our daily go-to for what's happening in our design community. But someone in there stated it was something about the consumer and how to not follow trends. And they made a statement, and I forgive me, but I can't recall who said it, but that your style shouldn't be someone else's. It should be yours. And it was such a good statement that made me think of you two, because that's what you, I think that's the service that you kind of give to your design clients. And in your things like your books and your stories and your own Instagram is you're telling people to be them and to use their travels and their stories and their spaces. So I
think that when we design homes, we never clean house. We take what they have, but we really, no project we ever do, no two homes ever look alike, because we're not bringing, as to your point, we're not bringing our story to life, we're bringing your story to life. And it's the idea of kind of buying a designer handbag. I think designer handbags are great, but we're not your Gucci bag of the moment. That's going to be, it's trending. We want to be on trend always, but we want to be timeless. We want to be fresh. We want our rooms to feel as inviting in 5 years as they do now. That doesn't mean rooms don't evolve, but it's the idea of we're bringing your brand. We very much look at interior design as bringing our clients' brands, personal brand stories to life. That if you have grandchildren, if you drink red wine, if you have dogs, we have to accommodate all those kind of things. We want to create rooms that if you don't go in the room, if you're not using the room, we haven't accomplished what we set out to do.
What we try to do, I mean, if you look at our projects, and you'll see quite a few of them in our book, Prince Charming, but if you look at those, what you'll notice is there's a certain way that color and pattern are used, but no two projects look exactly the same. And there are designers out there who have a very identifiable look.
And that's great.
That's one way of doing it, but that's not how we work. We really try to bring our client's story to life, and the common thread is pushing their boundaries into a space where maybe they wouldn't have used as much color and pattern on their own.
Yeah, I think if you look at some of our projects that we did early on 15 years ago, they look as fresh now as they did then. It doesn't mean that they don't evolve, but you can't peg them.
No.
I can walk into certain rooms and I kind of know what year they were designed.
Right. I mean, we're doing an Art Deco project right now. We're doing a very modern, I would call it, European style project in DC. We're doing a very traditional kind of
very happy
Harbor Island-esque kind of project in Winston-Salem. So, but all of those projects have a lot of color and pattern, but stylistically they're all very different.
Right. Yeah, very, very moody Art Deco. That's kind of referencing some of the great 1930s cruise ships to John's point, a home that's referencing Harbor Island in the Bahamas. So I think that we really, as that storyline, we really have to get inside our clients' heads and use our journalism degrees to ask those questions, or our journalism background to ask those questions and understand what makes them tick. because it's a little psychology, but it's really understanding how they live and using, and then we have all of our great products. So if you can't hire us, you can bring that storyline to life through York wall coverings, through our fabrics, through our light fixtures. And again, they all play really well in the sandbox. And we love interacting with people through our Instagram and them asking us questions or saying, hey, can I use this wallpaper with this? And we really want to engage and build that community and help them make their lives better.
Yeah, absolutely. And on that note, you do, what is, I just did it with you last week, Cocktails by Design?
Yes, Cocktails by Design. We do it every other Friday. So
Uh-huh.
our next installment is a week from this Friday. It's
Okay.
an hour long, and we usually have a theme. We sit in a different room of our home or outside, and we have a cocktail that we make or talk about. And then we take we usually have our theme, and then we take questions, whether you want to email us before at hello@madcapcottage.com,
Right.
or we respond to questions throughout. And we have so much fun, and it's lively. And then we repost it on Instagram TV, and it gets a lot of views there. But we just have a great time doing that. We've been doing that for a while, long before, kind of these crazy days right now where everyone's going live.
Yeah.
That it's a great opportunity for people, and people have then show us photos later of how they've transformed their home based on that conversation. So that makes us really happy.
Oh, it's great. And for those that are on here that have retail stores or wall covering stores online or whatever that sells the Madcap line, it's a great opportunity to tell your consumers to watch them, because Jason and John just go through the list and answer all the questions that people are throwing out there. So it was a lot of fun, and I would suggest everybody.
And we all get a little boozy.
And
Yeah.
Even better.
Even better. But I would also add, if you have any photos of our paper that your customers have used, we would love to post them. We do get those occasionally, and it's always nice to see how people are using our paper in unexpected places.
Lori Dennis a couple months ago posted along Lake Agawam wallpaper in a very modern bathroom setting, and it was this amazing juxtaposition of this kind of traditional but also very Palm Springsy wallpaper in this very white clinical bathroom. But if the bathroom had been white on white, it would have been really boring. But this wallpaper really brought it to life. So it's so much fun for us to see how our friends and consumers use our products in ways that we perhaps wouldn't have. And people are really kind of pushing the envelope and having some fun. Well,
you definitely hit the market at the right time. I mean, I know this is what you've always done, but right now, I hate to say the millennial generation, but that generation that's buying their homes and going into spaces are really liking traditional elements made modern. So your products fit perfectly for people that are wanting those pieces that they can pull into their space to create that mix.
I think people want to feel individual. They want the individuality. They don't want to feel cookie cutter. They're looking at vintage fashion. They're looking at kind of vintage pieces to tell their own story. And yes, I think these are the perfect tool. And the wallpaper is so easy to put up and so easy to take down. And, it's so quick. We've done it ourselves.
Yeah.
So it's form and function, and we love that.
Well, that's great. So this is when technology is not on your side. For whatever reason, my battery has been draining like a crazy thing.
Oh, no.
So this is the perfect time to probably go into our lightning round. So we did this on another Instagram live, and it was quite fun. So I'm gonna fire some questions at you.
Oh, good.
There's two of you, so you're gonna have to both answer, but be nice. Take your turn. All right. Favorite music to listen to when you're cooking?
Brian Ferry and Roxy Music.
I would say jazz, like Blossom Dearie, or...
Ooh, now I need a piece of paper so I can write it down. You can email me later.
I'll email you.
Is that the same music you would listen to when you're entertaining?
I think our playlist changes. I think that we probably start more jazzy as the evening kicks off, and then as the night goes on, we definitely rev up the Sonos and the disco ball starts spinning.
Disco ball.
I think you need to.
Well, yeah, I would
gauge
say
your audience.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's any. Well, I shouldn't say any because there probably is something, but there isn't like any one genre of music that I don't like. Just like there's not really any one style of decorating that I don't.
Although when I do hear a Cardi B, I'm always
There's
like,
there are certain things,
Woo.
but you know, there's Mary J. Blige.
Yeah, you love Mary J.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
We've been listening to a lot of George Michael lately because I think his range was so incredible, whether it was kind of jazzy or it was early,
Right.
Yeah.
and I just think that he was often overlooked. But amazing, talent that really could fit into any kind of vibe, whether you want it, the kind of Linda Evangelista, 19, all those kind of things.
Well, I have to say, you inspired me. So I have a disco ball. You have a disco ball. I think anyone in the thing below that has a disco ball should raise their hands. So we can see how
Come
many
on,
disco
guys.
balls are out there.
You have
But
two.
if you don't
We have
have
two.
one-
We have three. I have a huge one in the office too. Our neighbors here at the HQ think we're nuts.
Well,
That thing
I
starts
didn't.
spinning.
I didn't realize I needed one until I met you guys, and now I have one. So,
Yeah. There you go.
We're good for something.
yeah. All right. So here's a fun one. Because you love to travel, but if you could travel back in time to any time period, where would you time travel to?
I would say Georgian England, like 1750, 60, somewhere in there.
Hmm.
But I think that's a good idea. I think I would probably pack some penicillin and two.
Yeah.
I would be worried about my dental. I think I would probably go back to the 1920s
Or yeah.
of New York. That I think that New York's a bit much for me now, but I think in those days when writers and Dorothy Parker and the Round Table in the 1920s, 30s, and these kind of gin joints and speakeasies and kind of a certain freedom that if I think that would have been a really fun kind of wild abandoned time to have seen New York.
Yeah,
that's
that's
the
it.
same thing. Yeah, and I think the same thing about sort of Georgian England because there weren't. It wasn't like what the things that men would wear in the 1700s were completely different than what you would see men wearing today. I mean, this kind of thing would have been
A little Trina Turk.
the norm in terms of the pattern and the color use in fashion and in interiors and in all of it. Like, I just think it would have been so interesting to see because we didn't have these stereotypes of, what's appropriate for.
Yeah, no, I think that we're such huge Anglophiles that I would forget New York and I would probably go back in time, John, to Regency England.
Well, I think the
Or
20s.
Georgian
I
England.
think the 20s are the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like stereotypes went out the window, and
Well, hopefully we're heading back to that now. So,
I hope so.
yeah. Well, so on travel now, we're not going to do time travel, but you two travel a lot. What's on your bucket list of where you haven't been?
Well, we just booked a trip to Palm
Yeah.
Beach at the end of June. I'm putting a flag in the sand. We love West Palm and walking along South Dixie Highway and all the kind of great antique stores. I think that what I found about places, I love to be able to walk. And I love in Palm Beach that I can walk from West Palm even across to Palm Beach for a little fancier. But to John's point, Japan is on our list.
Yeah, because I think the way Japanese culture uses pattern and color is so fascinating.
Yeah, they're
And-
crazy about prints and pattern
Yeah.
in Japan.
And I just want to experience that in person.
But
Right.
I think that we're going to see a lot of road trips as we open. I think that people are going to probably be a little hesitant about getting on planes for a while. And I think we want to go back to the Greenbrier, which is Dorothy Draper's famous hotel up in West Virginia that's just packed full of color, prints, and pattern. And we just walk around with our kids in a candy store. But I can see a lot of road trips for people coming up. I think that people are going to Stirs. I want to get out,
Right.
and maybe taking some long weekends away. But I think that what else is on our travel list? We want to go back to Portugal, which we.
What about York?
York,
York,
Pennsylvania.
Pennsylvania.
We love York. Has that historic hotel opened that they were renovating?
No, not yet. Soon.
Because I'm tired of staying at Courtyard Marriott's with the
No,
top.
you can stay here. You just come and stay here.
Free hot breakfast doesn't do it for me anymore.
Okay, so this is a question that's probably easy for most people. I'm imagining it's probably pretty difficult for you, and you have to pick one. What is your favorite color?
Green.
Green.
Pink.
Awesome.
And behind us we have green and pink.
I think,
Look at
And I
that.
think yellow is number 2. Is yellow your number 2?
I would say green.
Top 5.
Yeah, it's in the top 5.
And DeAnna, what's your favorite color?
Green.
Green.
Yeah, green is my favorite color, but it's not my daughter's favorite color. And somehow she has a big impact on on what I'm allowed to do in my house.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, she loves Japan. Like that's on her bucket list. A lot of things that you guys say, but she is very much into design and fashion and has a nice big opinion, and I love it. So I'm going to take it for what I can right now. But
well, if she ever wants to intern when that time comes,
yeah,
down to Madcap Cottage.
okay, she would love it. You would love her. Well, I can't thank you guys enough. Any final words before we sign off today?
Somebody emailed me before this and said, pre-question, what was your inspiration for your latest collections, or do you find them at museums? And I think that that's a good question. I think that we very much keep our eyes open. And I think to your point, travel, you know, we are lucky enough to see some of the kind of great exhibits happening around the world, and that, you know, gives us an appreciation for new fashion or an art moment. But I think that idea that I think that we are all should be of the Auntie Mame school, where she said that in the great movie, she said that life is a banquet and most poor suckers are starving to death. And I think we should just all keep our eyes open and enjoy the everyday. And you might find adventure in your backyard, and that's just as wonderful as something a bit more far-flung. So we're very optimistic, we're very positive, and I think we should all be really appreciating each and every day and celebrating making the everyday exceptional.
Well, thank you. And thanks for always being accessible and available on Instagram. I know everyone on here, the guys are great. Just follow them and stay tuned for what they have. They are always coming out with something new.
Great to see you. Thanks for having
Thank
us.
you.
What a
Bye,
pleasure.
guys. Thank
Okay,
you.
Bye.
bye-bye.
Bye.